Begin today the Gemara on Daf Mem Aleph from the Beis, 2 lines up from the bottom of the Yomad. Zok the Gemara, a person said to his friend, Havli shis meya zuzi de masikna bach. Pay me the 600 zuz that I am collecting from you. Amalei, so his friend responds and says, Veloi peraticha meya kavi afzi. Did I not pay you 100 kav of afzi, which is gall nuts, the kaimi b'shisa shisa, and the price of these gall nuts for each one is 6 zuz. So if I gave you 100 kav of these gall nuts, I paid you the value of the 600 zuz that I owe you. Amalei, so the lender responds and says, but lav ba'arba have a kaime. When you paid me these gall nuts, wasn't the price 4 zuz for each one of the gall nuts? So you only paid me 400 zuz, not 600. And the borrower claims, could be, you're right, maybe the price was not 600, maybe the price was 400, but nevertheless, I remember that I paid you, if it wasn't with the gall nuts, I paid you with the money, paid you some other way, but I paid you the 600 zuz. Now, Asa Treisadi, 2 Edom came, Va'omru, and they said, like the lender says, in Ba'arba avakaimi. Yes, it's true that these gall nuts, at that time when he paid, the value of it was only 4 zuz. So he didn't pay, according to the claim of the lender, he didn't pay him fully. So who do we trust here? The Levi is arguing regarding the price of the gall nuts. Could be you're right, but nevertheless I still remember that I paid you fully. Amar Rave, but Rave says about this, Hochsa Kafran. This person was now established to be a liar because he came and claimed that it was worth 6 zuz for the gall nuts, but that wasn't the real price. So we caught him in his lie, so we can't trust him that he paid with money. Rami Bachame says, why should we consider him to be a liar? Well, didn't we say before, and this is the case before, that the Gemara says here on Daf Mem Aleph, that Kol Milse Ramya alei de inish, something that is not important to a person, lavadaite, he doesn't necessarily remember this. So over here as well, what's important to him is the fact that he paid. He has a loan and he paid up the loan. Whether he paid it with gall nuts or whether he paid it with cash, what exactly the price was, did he have to add cash as well? That wasn't something that he was paying attention to. So therefore, the fact that he said that it was 6 zuz and really it was only 4, it could be he made a mistake. There's no reason to believe that he's a liar.
So he doesn't remember how he paid.
Correct.
So if he doesn't remember how he paid, he shouldn't have come out with the statement. I paid you.
He was under that impression, but he was under that impression. But
he changed his mind.
He didn't change his mind. What Rav is saying is, or Rami Bachame, Rav is saying, Rami Bachame is saying that he's not Hochsa Kafra. He made a mistake. Such a kind of thing. What's significant is that he paid. How he paid, that's not important. Amalei Rave, but Rave says, no, in this case we don't apply such a svara, because Katsaisa, the Tada, the price of the market value of things, that's something that mitcha d'chiri inchi. That's something that people remember what the market price of things are. And therefore he is hochse kafran when he came and claimed that it was worth 6, when it was only worth 4 zuz. So the maskana, the Gemara is that he is hochse kafran. We can't trust him. Another story, a person said to his friend, Havli meya zuzi de masikna bach, pay me the 100 zuz that I'm collecting from you. And v'hashtara, he presents a star that shows that he owes him this money. Amalei, so the borrower says, Praticha, I paid you for this. Amalei, so the lender says, Hanu sitroininu, he admits that he got the payment, but he claims that payment was for a different loan, not for this star. Omar Rav Nachman, so Rav Nachman says about this case, Isra Shtara. The star is now loses its power because the lender himself is admitting that he got a payment. And he's claiming that the payment was for a different loan. We don't know. We don't have any source for any different loan. So therefore this star loses its power. According to Rashi, it means that the star cannot be used at all. That's it. He now admitted that he paid, so the star can be used at all. Other Rishonim say, the Gemara uses the term Isra. Isra doesn't necessarily mean that it loses its power completely. Isra means it's weakened. Weakened means that if he wants to collect with his star, he would have to swear that the star is still correct and he still has the loan. Rav Papa argues, Lo Yisra Shtara. the star does not lose its power because we believe the lender. He has a star right over here. The fact that he says that he paid, there's no indication that he paid. So yeah, he admitted that he paid, but he paid a different loan. But the star still has its power. It doesn't affect the status of the star. Now the Gemara asks on this, or Rav Papa that says that in this case the star is not affected. Why is this any different than another case which seems to be very similar? A person said to his friend, Havli mei zuzi de mesikna bach, pay me 100 zuz that I'm collecting from you, and v'hashtar, and he presents a star, and amalei, and the borrower responds and says, La vaturi, obviously, what does this star say? What was this document about? It's about a deal, a business deal that we made between us, that there's going to be money that you're going to give me, that I'll invest, and then we'll split the profits of it. So you gave it to me to buy oxen, and then we're going to split, we're going to shech these oxen, and then we'll sell the meat, and we'll split the profit. And v'asis, you came, v'asyavis, v'asivis, that is, amesachta, you came and sat with me by the butcher, and we bought we had these oxen, we sold the meat, and the kabila zuzach, and I gave you money, the profit of this business deal. So I paid you already for this star. And this is what the star was about. It was written in the star that there was this deal that they had to buy oxen and so on. And v'amalei, but the one holding the star says, no, hani setroininu. That profit that I got paid from this business deal, that was actually paying me for another time that I lent you money. And on that, Rav Papa said, Isra Shtara, that the star loses its power. So there, Rav Papa agreed. Rav Papa says that the star loses its power. In the story before, regarding a loan, the star of a loan, over there he said that the star does not lose its power. What's the difference? So the Gemara answers, Hassam, in the second case here, Kivin the Kalmei Aturi Yavasli Umituri Shaklis, because he says to him, the borrower responds that there was a business deal to buy these oxen, and you took the profit from these oxen that we bought and we sold the meat. Says Rashtara. Over here, what he's saying, it seems to be very plausible. It makes sense. You see clearly that this is what the shtar is about, and he's admitting that there was this business deal that they came and made profit, and he gave him the money from this profit. So if it's from this profit that's written in this shtar, so you're coming and now claiming that no, that the payment of this profit was also from another loan. That's not logical. It was the profit of what's written in this shtar. So therefore I say that it weakens the power of the shtar. However, in the first case, where he brings a shtar for a loan, and he says, yeah, I got payment from you, but it was for a different loan, so there it's actually possible that it was payment for a different loan. There's no indication that this payment is connected to what's written in this shtar. So in such a case, the shtar does not lose its power. My Havi Allah, what's the halacha regarding this? Rav Papi Yamar lo yisra shtar. Rav Papi paskins that the shtar does not lose its power. Rav Sheshes Breda Rav Yidi Yamar isra shtar, that the shtar does lose its power. And the hilchas, the halacha is that in such a case where the lender admits that he got payment and he claims it was from a different loan, isra shtar, the shtar does lose its power. But now the Gemara clarifies.
Simple question.
One second. Let's just finish the Indian here. So the Gemara clarifies. V'hani mili. When do I say that the shtar loses its power? The pare ba'apesadi. If he paid him in front of Eidos. It's not only that the lender admitted that he received this payment, but this payment was actually in front of Eidos. And what shtar it's being paid for wasn't necessarily mentioned. Now, obviously, if it was mentioned that this payment is for a different shtar, then it's clear what the payment is for. But it wasn't mentioned what payment it's for. But there's Eidim that he paid. So in such a case, if there's Eidim that he paid, then I say that the shtar that this lender is holding now loses its power. But if the case here is that he paid without any witnesses, and it's just the lender that's coming and admitting, yes, you paid me, but the payment was for a different shtar, in such a case, the shtar that the lender is holding will not lose its power, because he has a migu to back up his claim. What's the migu? Now again, the concept of migu is when you could have said a much better claim to pati yourself, that's a proof that you're an honest and trustworthy person. What could have he said in such a case? Migu, the yachal ha'meim, because you could have just simply said to the borrower, you paid me. Never happened. I never received this payment. And he would have been believed. So therefore, Yachal Nami Lemema, he's believed to say that this payment was for a different star. So there's no proof what the payment is for. So now he has a migul to be trusted that the payment was for a different star. This is a svara that Avimi Berei Rabavo says in the Gemara in Ksubis, basically regarding the same kind of story. Okay, let's see another story. Gemara here goes through another. Let's see. A person says to his friend, so this is a borrower that says to the lender, he wants to convince him to lend him money. He shouldn't be afraid that he will not pay him, or there's going to be argument later about payment. So he says to the lender, don't worry. As long as you are going to claim that I did not pay you yet, so you'll be believed. But then what happened? Ozal, Pare Bapisadi. The borrower paid, and he paid in front of witnesses. And now witnesses are coming and saying that he paid. And the lender is still saying, no, you didn't pay me. So the question is, the condition that they made, that'll be trusted, that he did not pay him, is that even in such a case, when witnesses are now coming and saying that he paid. So Abai and Rava both say, this was the condition between them, that he's going to be trusted whenever he claims that he did not pay him, yet he'll be trusted. So even if there's witnesses here that say that he did pay, it doesn't matter. Their deal was that we're not going to rely on witnesses.
How many times is he going to say that?
This is the deal that they made. That only if the lender is going to admit and say, yeah, you paid me, then he won't have to pay again. So Maskeflor Rav Papa asks on this psak din, and he says, no, it doesn't mean this deal that they made between them doesn't go this far. Yes, it's true, the borrower was telling the lender, if there'll be an argument between us, when I will claim that I paid and you will claim that I did not pay you, then you'll be believed more than me. But famous Sadi, mi amne, he didn't mean to tell him that you'll be believed more than Adam. Adam is the strongest level of proof, and if Adam come and say that he pays, that's it, he doesn't have to pay again. Another case, the person says to his friend, this is again a borrower that's saying to a lender, so here he spelled out clearly, he said that you will be believed to me like to Adam, kol emes the omres loy perana, as long as you're going to claim that I did not pay you. So here he said clearly, like to Adam you'll be believed if you say that I did not pay. Then Ozal, so now the borrower went and pare bapitlosa. He paid him in front of 3 Adam. So now the question is, if these 3 Adam show up to say that he paid, will they be believed more than the lender, which they made a deal that he should be believed like 2 Adam? Rav Papa, so Rav Papa says, the borrower says, I believe the lender to say that I did not pay him like 2 Adam, but he's not believed like 3. So now I have 3 Adam that I paid him. That's why he paid in front of 3, so that he can prove that he did pay him. But Rav Yeshua argues with this, and he says that's not the terms of the deal, because where do we find such a concept regarding Eidos? The Azlinan Basa Reiv Deis, that in Eidos there's a difference between 2 Adam, 3 Adam, or 4. When do we follow majority opinion? This is when it comes to evaluating a property where you want to know which evaluation to rely on, so you go by majority opinion to determine the evaluation of a property. The Kamad and the Fisher Biki Tfei, as more experts you have that are saying their opinion about it, you go by majority opinion. Avalinian Eidos, but when it comes to the halachas of testimony, Meya Katrei Utrei Kameya. 100 Adam, 2 Adam, 2 Adam is like 100, it's all the same thing. So if he made a deal with this person that you're going to be believed for me like 2 Adam, that means he's believed like the power of Adam. The belief of Adam, if you pay now in front of 3, it's not going to be any better than this lender that's believed like 2. Now, there's another version that has another part to the story. The first part of the story is the same, but then there's a continuation here. Now, the person said, the borrower says to the lender, that what you say will be as strong as the words of 2 Adam. As long as you say that I did not pay, it'll be like 2 Adam are saying that I did not pay. So he goes and he pays him in front of 3. Rav Papa said, He only believed the lender like 2 Eidim, but not like 3. So with 3 Eidim would be believed to say that he did pay. And Maskala Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua. So Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua asks, but Trei Kemeya, Umeya Ketrei. 2 is like 100, and 100 is like 2. It's the same thing. So paying in front of 3 does not get you anywhere. But now, in this version, he added, but V'i Amale. If the borrower clearly says to the lender, Kibet Lasa, you'll be believed when you claim I did not pay you like 3 Eidim. So he spells out specifically 3 Eidim. And now, V'azal Pare Bape Be'arba. The borrower pays him and he brings 4 Eidim that he paid him. So in such a case, I say, Kivin the Nachas L'Deis, since when they made the condition between them, he clearly spelled out not just Eidim, 2 Eidim, which is what it usually is, but he spelled out specifically 3, so the Nachas L'Deis, he's specifically spelling out 3 because he wants it to be clear that I still should have a way how to prove that I did pay. If I'll bring 4 Eidim, then it'll be stronger than 3. So in such a case, 4 Eidim will prove that he paid. Okay, now going back to what it said in the Mishnah. In the end of the Mishnah, it said, you do not swear the shvuah that there is, that the Mishnah is speaking about the shvuah of a meide b'miktsas, in a case where who is the one that is claiming money? These are people that have no das and don't have the ability to make any claim. And therefore, even if you're a meide b'miktsas, there's no shvuah. And ve'ein mashbi'in es hakotten. We don't ever make a cotton himself swear about money that he is made to, or that is owed to him, or that he owes, that is. A cotton doesn't swear as well. My time, what's the reason for the first din of the Mishnah, that you don't swear based on the time of a cheresh of the cotton? Because it says in the pasuk, Amakra, ki yitein ish eyu kesef ekelim. A ish, a man, gives money or vessels, lishmarit, for someone to safeguard for him. And now, there's an argument about this. The person claims that I gave this to you, and he responds, no, he's made b'miktsas. Now, ve'ein sin is cotton klum. So it says ish, but a cotton that gives, it doesn't matter. There's no claim, there's no validity to the claim of a cotton. And on the end of the Mishnah, it finished off and it said, Aval nishboin likotten ulehektish. But you do have to swear for a cotton, seemingly it's saying for the claim of a cotton, and for hektish, you have to swear for hektish. Now, the Gemara is going to explain hektish soon, but first the Gemara asks, there's a clear contradiction here. But you just said a moment before, the ein nishboin al taina sheit of a cotton, or cheresh sheit of a cotton. You don't swear on the claim of a cheresh sheit of a cotton. And here the Mishnah goes on to say that you do swear for the claim of a cotton. Amar Rav, so Rav answers, Beba b'tainas aviv. In the second case of the Mishnah, when it says you swear for the claim of a cotton, that is not a cotton that's coming and claiming that the money is owed to him. This is a cotton that is an orphan and comes and says that my father lent you money. So it's a taina that he has, but it's not about himself. It's a taina that he says that the money was owed to his father. And in such a case, you will swear. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, and this is following the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. The Tanya, as we learned in Abraisa, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, Pa'omim she'odam nishba al tainas atzmai. There could be a case where a person swears the shvuah of Maide b'miktsas, where he's denying part of the claim and he's admitting part of the claim. He swears even if it's himself that's creating the whole claim. Nobody was claiming any money from him. Keitzad, how is this? Omar loy, a person says to someone, Mane la'avicha biyadi, that your father lent me money, and va'achaltiv pras, and I already paid him part of this loan, but the other part I didn't pay. So he's a ma'id of a miktsas, but he's initiating the whole entire claim. Nobody ever asked him for the money. Harei nishpa, this person swears himself. He does have the shvuah of ma'id of a miktsas applies. You don't need a claim from someone else to trigger the shvuah of ma'id of a miktsas. Even if he initiates the entire thing, where he says that your father borrowed money from me or lent money to me, that is, and I paid him half. Yes, you have to swear. This is a case where a person will have to swear the shvuah of ma'id b'miktsas, even if it all begins with him initiating this entire claim. The Chachamim say, in such a case where you initiate this whole thing, that you're letting us know that this person's father lent you money and you're admitting to half, it's like you're returning a lost object. In such a case, there's no shvuah, because Chachamim instituted that a person that returns a lost object, and now the owner says, well, there was more to this, and you took half in such a case, because he's giving back an aveda, there's a chacham instituted that you don't swear. Over here as well, he's initiating this entire thing and saying that your father lent me money. He doesn't have to swear for this. So therefore he's potter. So what the Gemara is saying is, just like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, in the case of a person that's initiating the claim himself, there's a shua of Maida b'miktsas. By the case of a cotton, it's the same thing. As long as it's not the cotton that is claiming that it's he that lent the money, because then the nisina of a cotton is, it says in the pasuk, ki and ish. The nisina had to be from a grown man. But if it's the cotton that's claiming that my father lent you money, so even the tine of a cotton is no less than a case where a person is initiating his own a claim from himself, where you have to make a shvua. So by a cotton as well, you'll have to make a shvua. That's what our Mishnah is saying. But now here, the Gemara will discuss the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, and it'll eventually explain what the machlekes between the Chachamim and Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is when it's taina of a person initiating his own claim. Fragt the Gemara, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Lesley, does Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov not hold of this concept that Meishiv Aveda Potter, that when someone is returning a lost object, there's no shvua that applies in such a case? So over here, in this case, if the person is initiating this claim and he's admitting to owing money, he's no different than a Meishiv Aveda. Should Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov agree to this, that he would be potter from any shvua? So Rav explains, Bishaton cotton. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov wasn't referring to a case where he mamish initiated his own claim, but there was a cotton, a child that was claiming this money from him. In fact, the Gemara, cotton, a child claims that I lent you money, but Val Amrit we said that the pasuk says ki ish, einish ban al tainas chereshoyt v'cotton. There is no shvur when it's a cotton that's initiating the claim. So the Gemara says, you're right, la'olam gadol. Really, the case here is that it's a gadol. It's a grown person. It's a gadol that's making this claim. Now, why am I referring to him as a cotton that's making this claim? Because the case here is, this is a gadol that's a yasim, he's an orphan, and he's saying that my father lent you money. Since he's speaking about what happened by his father, so regarding the fact that his father lent money, kottenu, he's considered to be a cotton because he doesn't necessarily know everything that goes on in his father's business and his father's money. So therefore, that's the case where Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says that you have to make a shvua. But in a case where there's no claim at all, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov would agree that if this person comes and initiates that he owes the money, it's a meishav aveda, you would be potter. But now the Gemara asks on what we're explaining here. Ihachi tainas atzmai. This is what does Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov here say? That this is a case where a person that initiates the claim himself, he still has to swear. Why are you saying this is tainas atzmai? Tainas achedemi. There's a claim from someone else. There's a gadol, there's a grown person that's coming and saying that my father lent you money. So this should be no different than any Maida b'miktsas. So the Gemara says, yeah, tainas achedem v'hidas atzmai. You're right. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, when he said the term atzmai, he meant there was a claim from someone else, this gadol, but now you're admitting, the person himself is coming and admitting to this. He's a Maida b'miktsas himself. So the Gemara says, but that's not the chiddush, that's not the case that Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov was talking about. Because kol unami, every Maida b'miktsas, tainas achedem v'hidas atzmai, What's the story by every Maida b'miktsas? Someone comes and makes a claim, someone makes a claim, and then you come and admit part. You initiate on your own and admit part, and nevertheless, this is where the Torah says there's the shvua of Maida b'miktsas. So why is this case any different than any other Maida b'miktsas? So therefore, the Gemara says a different shot. Ella b'derabe kamiflagi. Rather, the explanation here of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is, the Gemara doesn't spell this out, but according to Rashi, as Rashi explains this, the Gemara goes back to the original pshat, that the case Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov was speaking about was a cotton that comes and claims, my father lent you money. And in such a case, because he's claiming that his father lent him money, so it says in the pasuk, ki yitem ish, only if it's a ish, a grown man that gives money. If the claim of the cotton is that my father gave money, so then it qualifies. It's ki yitem ish. And here, in such a case, the chiddush of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is that even though it's only a cotton, nevertheless, there will be a shvua of Maida b'miktsas. And on this, the Chachamim argue and say that because the one that's claiming is not the original lender, it's a son and a cotton that's claiming this, over here, the shvua of Maida b'miktsas does not apply. Now, what's the logic behind their machlekes? So the Gemara explains, that They're arguing whether the whole entire svara of why you swear by Meideh B'Miktsas, which Rabbi explained, whether that applies even in this case where it's not the lender himself, rather it's his son, a cotton, that's making now the claim. Now, what did Rabbi say? How did Rabbi explain the logic for the Shavuos of Meideh B'Miktsas? So the Omar Rabbi explains, why does Torah say that when one is admitting part of the claim that he has to swear? What's the question that Rabbi is asking? So Rashi in Mitzvah says the question is, every Meideh B'Miktsas should be like a Meishav Aveda. He's admitting to half, he didn't have to admit to anything. There was no shtar, there was no rai, there's no edim. He's initiating and admitting half. He should be no different than a person that's returning a lost object. Or Taisva says that he has a migu. He could have been a kaifer akayel. And if he would be a kaifer akayel, it would be pater. So why should every Meideh B'Miktsas have to swear? The answer is because chazake eino demei is pana b'fnei bal chayvei. We know that a person does not have the chutzpah to deny what he owes to a lender. And therefore, what we see here, this person being Meideh B'Miktsas, this itself is an indication that he owes this. Why isn't he denying it fully? Because he doesn't have the chutzpah to deny the entire loan, that this person did a favor and lent him money. And v'hai b'kulei boy de lichpere, he would have wanted to deny the entire loan. The reason he can't and he doesn't is because he doesn't have that chutzpah to deny this money to the person that lent him this money, that did him this favor. That's according to Rashi, because he did him this favor, so it's hard for him to deny it in his face. According to Taisus, even if it's not a loan, even if it's just someone that you owe money to, and you know that this person you're denying it in his face, knows that you're a liar, it's hard. It's hard for a person to have that chutzpah to deny. So therefore, what's the point that Rabbi is saying here? When you see a person being Meideh B'Miktsas, this itself is an indication that the reason why he's being Meideh B'Miktsas is because he really owes the money. And he doesn't have the chutzpah to deny it all. So don't think that this person is such a big tzaddik and say, oh, he's a Meishav Aveda. He is admitting to half. No, he's not a Meishav Aveda. Fakar, he doesn't have the chutzpah to deny it. And that's why he's admitting to half. And there's a suspicion that he may be a Ganev. Therefore, he has to swear, to pater himself. Now, Rabbi also clarifies another point. Now, if the point of why he has to swear is because we're suspecting him of being a liar, what's the point of having him swear to back up his claim? If you're suspecting him of lying, so then he'll swear falsely as well. So what do you gain by having him swear? So therefore Rabbi goes on to say, not necessarily is he doing this because he's a Ganev, because he really wants to lie about this. Really, he would love to admit that he owes all the money. The reason that he doesn't admit it is because he doesn't have the money to pay right now, and therefore he wants to avoid payment. And so he thinks to himself, and when I'll have money, then I'll pay. And therefore he's not admitting the loan right now. Okay?
Just let him say that.
No. But he's embarrassed to say that. He doesn't want to lose his credibility amongst the business people, so he doesn't want to say he doesn't have money. So for now he says, I don't owe you the money. Then later, when he has the money, he'll come and say, oh, I remember that I owe you the money. But Achmana Omar, so the Torah says, Rami Shvua Ilavei, let's place a shvu on him now, that he should admit today. So he should come and admit the loan that he fully owes. And once he says this, that he doesn't owe the money fully now, he later may then decide, you know what, I'm not going to pay it. He already got away with it. He may then not pay it at all. So the Torah says, let him come and admit right now. So what's the point of it? So we see here that what Rabbi is saying is that when a person is Meideh B'Miktsas, because we know that a person doesn't have chutzpah to deny a loan that he owes fully, there's a strong suspicion to say that this person really is avoiding payment. This person is denying money that he owes. He's not a Meishav Aveda though. He's not necessarily is he honest. Now, the question now is whether this Svara of Rabbe applies even in a case where it's not the lender itself that the borrower is facing. He's only facing the son of the one that he lent the money, that he borrowed the money from. So Rabbi Eliezer Miyakov says, Loishna boy, v'loishna b'bnai. The same Svara, just like when you're facing the lender himself, the son of the lender, the same thing applies as well. Ein meyes, a person does not have the chutzpah to deny money that he owes, and vehilkach, and therefore the same svara of Rabba applies. Lav meishav aveduhu. When you see this person admitting to half of this loan, he's not a tzaddik that's being a meishav aveda necessarily. It's just that he doesn't have the chutzpah to deny it, and therefore he's admitting half. So he has to swear. Therefore, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says that he swears on Tainas Atzmai. Tainas Atzmai means this case, when it's not the lender himself that's present, it's even his son. But Rabbanan Savri, Rabbanan Svara is, B'fanov Udein Meis. The whole Svara of Rabba only applies when the lender himself is present. Then a person doesn't have chutzpah to deny this. Avol B'fnei B'noi. But if the lender himself is not here, it's just his son, and it's a son that's a cotton, Meis, over here the person would have a chutzpah to deny it. Umidoloi Meis, and therefore the fact that he's not denying this whole loan, and he's admitting to part, the lender's already gone. It's so easy for this person to deny this loan if the lender already died, and he does not deny it. Meishav Avedu. So this person actually is a Meishav Aveda. It's like he's returning a lost object, and therefore, in such a case, the Shavuos of Maidav and Miktsas does not apply. Okay, that's the explanation of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, the machlokes of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov and the Chachamim. Now, but this is the pshat of the Gemara in our Mishnah. When it said in the Mishnah that you swear for a cotton, it's this case when the cotton is claiming that my father lent money. So the Gemara asks in this, how could that be the pshat in our Mishnah? Mi matzis moik mislog ke Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. How could you say that's what our Mishnah means? Hakatani reisha. But in the reisha of the Mishnah, it says clearly a case of mana la'aba b'yotcha. When a son comes and says, my father lent you money, and the person responds, he agrees to half. He says, I only owe half, 50 dinar. Pater. Even though this is a maidav mixus, will be pater mipnei shemeshav aveduhu. Because it's like he's returning a lost object. So the Mishnah clearly is accepting the opinion of the Chachamim, that because you're not facing the lender himself, you're only facing his son, you're a meshav aved and you're pater. So how can we say that in the sefer of the Mishnah when it says mashbi'in lekatan, it's accepting Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov's opinion that in such a case you do swear? And says the Gemara, it depends what this cotton the son is claiming. Hasam delayama bodily. In the Reish of the Mishnah that we just quoted, that's when a son comes and says, I think maybe it's possible that my father lent you money. He didn't say, I know for a fact. In such a case, when the borrower admits that he owes half, sees clearly a Meishav Aveda. There wasn't even a definite claim here. Hacha the Amma bodily. But here in the sefer of the Mishnah where it says that you have to swear when the son comes and claims, my father lent you money, it's when the son says, I know for a fact, I know my father's business dealings, and I know for a fact that my father lent you the money. In such a case, the Mishnah is paskening like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov that there is a Shavuos of Maidav Miktsas. Another pshat for the Mishnah, Shmuel Lomar, Shmuel says, when it says in the Mishnah here in the sefer that you swear for a cotton and for a hektish, it means something else. Lekotton means lipara minichse cotton. It's talking about a whole different thing. It's not talking about the Shavuos of Maidav Miktsas. It's talking about if you claim that money was owed to you and by the father, and now you have the children, the Yisaimim, that's a cotton, and you want to collect now from the properties. Lipara minichse cotton. When you want to get payment from the properties that are now owned by these cotton, you have to swear before you get payment. And the same also lehektish. If you claim that money that belongs now to Hektish, that this property that Hektish has, I had a lien on this property for a loan, that the one that gave it to Hektish borrowed money from me, and you want to confiscate something from Hektish, you also have to swear before you take from Hektish.
You need a star?
Lipada, yeah, even with a star. Even with a star, if you're coming and collecting, whether from a cotton or from Hektish, you always have to swear before you collect this money. Lipada menich Hektish as well. So the question on this is, that we're over here, 1 second. Yeah. L'katan, lipara minichse katan. So the Gemara asks, how could you say that this is the pshat in the Mishnah here? That l'katan means you want to get paid from the properties of the cotton. Tanina. That already says clearly in another Mishnah. The Mishnah says later, minichse yisaimim, whenever a person wants to get his payment from the properties of orphans, lo yifara ela b'shvua. You could only receive your payment if you make a shvuah. So Tarti Lamali, why would it be necessary for the Mishnah to say the same halacha twice? Answers the Gemara, Hakamash Malon Kedabaya. The Mishnah is saying the same halacha twice because it wants to teach the Chiddush of Kedabai Kshisha, what Abai Kshisha said. The Tani Abai Kshisha said, Yisaimim Shomru. When it says regarding this halacha that if you're collecting from Yisaimim, you must swear before you collect, that's Gedalim. It's even Yisaimim that are already Gedalim. Needless to say, if it's Ketanim, you could easily take advantage from them, and they don't know whether it's true, whether the father owed this money or not. But it's both by Gedalim and by Ketanim. And Bein L'Shvuah, this halacha that it applies by Gedalim and by Ketanim, it's regarding this point that we just said here, that you must make a Shvuah before you collect these properties. And also Bein L'Ziburis. And also another halacha, when you collect from the properties of the Yisaimim, you only get the lowest quality of properties for the payment. So this halacha applies both for Gedalim and Ketanim, and that's why the Mishnah repeated this halacha twice. It said it later on Daf Mem Hey, the Mishnah says it there regarding Gedalim, and it says it over here even regarding Ketanim, both for Ketanim, and then later it says it again, that you should know that it's for Gedalim as well. Okay, now the Gemara asks, the Hektish, what did we say? What does Hektish mean? Lipara minichse Hektish. If you want to get your payment from Hektish, you're going to have to make a shvuah that you had a lien on this property from before. On this as well, the Gemara asks, Tanine, this says in the Mishnah, Menachase mishubadim, anytime you want to collect any loan from properties that was now sold to someone, and you want to collect it from that buyer, so to go and confiscate from this buyer, you must swear first. So now the question is, Umali mishubadim lahediyit, Umali mishubadim legavoya. There should be no difference if this is a property that you sold to another private buyer, or this is a property that the lender gave to Hektish. If you want to collect from this property, you have to swear. So why does our Mishnah have to specify this halacha regarding Hektish? And says the Gemara, legavoya itzrich. No, there is a chiddush that you have to swear when you're confiscating from Hektish. Why? I would think that only if there's a buyer, just a private person that bought the property, there you have to swear before you confiscate from him. Why? Because hediyat to the asam the adam knunya al hediyat. If you just sold it to another person, it's possible that there is a trick here. There's some kind of deal between the borrower and lender, where the lender says to the borrower, I know you paid me, but let's hide the fact that you paid me, and then you'll collect a second time, and you'll collect it from the buyer, and we'll split this property between us. So they're making a knunya between them in order to cause a loss to this buyer. So by a hediyat, we're concerned about this. So you're going to have to swear before you collect it. Aval hektish, but I would think that by hektish this is not the case. Ein adam oisek knunya al hektish. A person would not want to make such a trick to steal from hektish. So Kamash Malon, therefore our Mishnah has to say that we are concerned, even in a case where you were makdish, it's possible that the lender and the buyer are making a knunya to collect a second time, and he has to swear before he collects from hektish. Now, this point the Gemara asks, so basically the point that we're saying here is Kamash Malon, that we're concerned about a knunya even when it's hektish, that a person may steal from hektish. But Rav Hona said, Shchiv mera shehiktish kol nechasov, a person that is on his deathbed. And he says, all of my properties should belong to Hektish. But then he says, Va'omar mana leploini biyadi. However, I owe so-and-so money. Which means now that so-and-so could take from his properties that he just said belongs to Hektish, because there's a lien on his properties that he first owed to this person. Neman, this Shchiv Merah is believed. Why? He just say that everything is Hektish? Because we have a presumption. A person would not lie and make a trick with hektish to try to take away this property that he just said it should all be hektish. So here we clearly see that we're not concerned about a knunya with hektish. So how is our Mishnah saying that when you want to collect from hektish, we're concerned about a knunya and you have to swear? So the Gemara answers, Omri, they answered and explained, a person on his deathbed, he's giving everything to Hektish. We're not concerned that when he says, I owe someone money, that he's trying to steal from Hektish. A person would not sin if there's no personal gain in this. He's dying. So why would he do this to steal from Hektish if he has no gain? However, not in the case of a Shchiv Merah, what we're talking about over here, when a person wants to collect from Hektish, and there's two people here that are both healthy, that are involved, the borrower, the lender, it could be that there is a knunya, and we are concerned that they want to steal from Hektish. The following are the cases where there's no chiyuv to swear on this. If there's a dintayre about the status of slaves, who owns the slave, vashtaris, or documents, it's not something that's valuable, money itself, but it's a document that could be used to collect money with it. V'karkois, or any shvua that relates to real estate, properties. There's no halacha of a shvua on this. This is all learned from Sukkim in the Gemara. V'hakdeshis, and hektish as well. That minatayra, you don't swear regarding hektish. Okay, the halacha we just learned about before was at the Takanas Chachamim, that you have to swear when you want to collect from hektish, but by hektish there's no halachas of swearing minatayra. Ein bam tashlumi kefil. Regarding these cases that we just mentioned, Avadim Shtaris Karkais and Akdeshes, there's no halacha of paying kefil by a ganav does not apply. V'lei tashlumi abba v'chamisha, or a ganav that stole and then he slaughtered or sold it, where you have to pay 4 or 5 times as much, does not apply here either. A chinam, a case of a chinam that was negligent, ein nishba, and he claims that it got stolen from him, and usually by a chinam in such a case he has to swear that that's true, but there's no halacha of a shvua regarding all of these items. Neisa sachar ein mishalem, a person that's a shomer sachar, he's being paid for being a shomer, and so he doesn't have to pay either for any of these kind of items. Now, Rab Shimon Omer, regarding the case of hektish that we just said that there's no payment, so Rab Shimon says it depends what kind of hektish. If this is a kind of hektish where a person was makdish an item, but it's going to be his responsibility. If it gets lost or anything happens to it, it's his responsibility to reimburse this item. And now this item that he was makdish, he gave to a shomer. Nishbain alein. So for this, if it gets lost, you have to swear. Because even though it's hektish, but the owner that was makdish this has a money loss for himself in it, because he would have to replace it. So in such a case, you do have to swear. But if it's a case of a hektish where if it gets lost, it's not your responsibility. And as Rashi says, the difference is if the person says harei alai regarding an animal, he says harei alai, he takes upon himself. In such a case, it's his responsibility if it gets lost. But if he says harei zu, so then it's only this animal. If it gets lost, it's not his responsibility to replace it. Then einish badaling, then it's hektish, and therefore there's no reason to swear for the owner of this animal because it's not his at all. He doesn't even have any responsibility to replace it. It's just purely hektish. Now, regarding the case of karka, Rab Meir says, Yesh dvarim shehem bekarka. There is a dintayra about a claim which is like karka, but ve'enan kekarka. It's like karka, but it's really not considered to be a property. It's considered to be a movable item. And Chachamim argued on this. What's the case? Keitzad eser gefanim tu unais masarti loch. If a person claims, I gave you to safeguard or to take care of these 10 vineyards which were full of grapes and they were already all ripe. And this person answers and says, there were only 5 vineyards full of grapes. So he's a maid of a miktsas. Do you have to swear about this or not? Rab Meir mechayev shua. Rab Meir says even though they're still attached to the ground, seemingly it's karka, you're going to be chayev to make a shua. The Gemara will explain why. However, Chachamim say this is karka. Kol ha'mechuber lekarka, hareka karka. These are grapes that are still attached to the ground. Therefore, this is an argument regarding karka, and by karka there's no halacha of a shua. Another halacha, ein nishba'im ela al davar shebemidda v'shebemishkol v'shebeminyan. The chiyuv of a shvua is only if there's an argument in a dintayra where it's something that's a certain size or a certain weight or a certain number. It has to be something very specific. You owe me $100, I only owe you 50. It has to be a specific amount. And here the Mishnah gives another example. Keitzad bayis mali masartilach. The claimant says, I gave you a full house of money or whatever it is. Or v'kis mali masartilach. I gave you a full bag of these items. And there's no specific amount though. And he responds, if the defendant says, I don't know how much it was, it could be less than that. Whatever you gave me, this is what you take. So he's claiming basically that it wasn't that amount, potter. So in such a case, because they're not arguing about a set amount, you'll be potter. However, if ze'omer ad haziz, if he says, look, I filled up this space and I gave you up until this ledge by a window, and he says, no, it was until the window. So ziz is further out, chalain is not as far out. So they're arguing a certain measured amount, then chayiv. Then over there, in this case, there will be a shvuah. Okay, I'll stop over here.